Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, and in today's I'm going to be talking about the longer term effects of domestic abuse. And there's something that I've been wanting to make a video on for quite a while, but it's sort of come to a head a couple of days ago on Facebook when Candy Soul and Soil, I hope I got that the right way around, just put a post out about how she's been having some issues with her ex-husband. Just with some belongings for her children. I did ask her, before anybody says anything, I did ask her if I could talk about that. She said that would be fine. And this lady, who she doesn't even know, kind of really attacked her and sort of put it all on her, like saying that, how old are her kids, that they should do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And, it was really quite shocking how she actually just did that, like she's got no idea about Candy's situation or what's been happening or anything at all like that. And Candy expressed it quite well, is that how often when it comes to cases of domestic abuse, that how the blame is always actually turned back onto the victim. And she was clearly the victim in this case. Let's not mince words. It was Candy who was the victim. And how they always and this was a woman too, so it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, and how they like to turn it around and blame the victim. So before I was married to my now husband, who we're coming up to 18 years next January, I was married before, and I was with my first husband for a total of 20 years, and 16 years out of that I was married. And it was an abusive relationship. It wasn't always an abusive relationship, but it was always volatile, I have to say. Even in the 4 or 5 years that we were quite happy, it was quite, a day didn't go by when we didn't fight. And so, he was quite, got more and more abusive as the time goes on. And as it's always the way, I would get blamed for everything. I'm just sorry, I just have to excuse this. When you have a fake breast, it tends to, so this is my fake one, it tends to stay put. But on my real one, the t-shirt always seems to slide down. It's really weird, as I'm trying to, not expose anything on this. So I can, what I'm trying to say is that I know I can talk about this, okay, because I've been there, I've done that. And even though it's been many, like I don't give my ex not one iota of a thought whatsoever. And it just feels like that I've been married to Aaron forever, and that I actually forget that I was married before until, of course, I look at my 2 beautiful daughters. I remember, I was married before, I did have kids with this guy and everything like that. So I can talk from experience what it's like. And sometimes, even after all these years later, there was a domestic, I think, awareness or something like that on Facebook. I can't remember what it was. And women were writing in about things that happened to them. So what people will do, and what my ex actually did too, is first, they make sure that they get rid of all your friends, so they make an ass of themselves every time a friend would come to visit, and in the end they'll no longer, come to visit you, and you end up losing that friendship. So, that sort of thing happens. Everything is your fault, no matter what. I always used to say that, if the world exploded, it would be my fault, according to my ex-husband. So, anyway, there was a whole heap of hashtags, and as I was reading them, I actually stopped. It actually made me feel physically ill in my stomach, because it just brought everything back in a mad rush. And even reading what Candy was going through, it just brought it all back. So even though I've been deliriously happy for the last, 18, 19 years of my life, when you read something like that, it actually, and I hate using the word trigger because I don't really get triggered, but it really did. It really does bring everything back within a flash, and then you remember all sorts of shit, and then you feel physically ill when you read it. And then when it comes to the long term, so that's one of the long term side effects of domestic violence, and there's a lot. It's quite bad here in Australia. I was going to actually look up some statistics before I actually made this video, but I decided not to. But there's a few women each week that are killed by their partners from domestic violence. There is really horrific acts done against women as well. I don't know what actually happened, but just recently a I'm not too sure if she was Sudanese or not, but she got murdered and she was 8 months pregnant. Very, very recently, it was only a couple of weeks ago. And they've actually arrested the person who did that, but I don't quite yet know if he was actually related to her, or they know, who he was. Because there was no signs of a struggle, the police assumed that, she knew who he was and let him into her place. So, and then that's not going, it's really, really quite rampant here in Australia. And women, this is years ago. Now, when I first decided I was going to take an AVO, which is an apprehensive violence order against my ex-husband, when I went to the court, policeman said he told me it's a waste of time doing it because it takes 2 weeks before it kicks in, and then anything can happen in that time. So basically, he just stopped me cold, told me not to waste my time doing it, not to waste his time in filling out paperwork, and so I did. I didn't bother doing it. Now, I know it's a little bit different now. They can get it done straight away, and I can only presume it's because of how many women have been killed. Now, we all know what happened to Gabby in America. We've all seen I'm not too sure if her surname is, if I'm pronouncing right, if it's Petrio or something like that, and how her partner murdered her. And we've all seen the film footage of her crying in the policeman's car. Why the hell they did not take her with them and just keep her away from him for that night? She could still be alive, sort of thing. So it's all over the world. It's rampant. But when I'm talking about the long-term effects, so not only do things that you read can trigger and it brings it all back in the rush, no matter how happy you are. I do believe that's why I got breast cancer, because for all those years now I've suffered from depression from quite a young age, and I can honestly say I don't anymore, and that's purely been because of Aaron. So I haven't really suffered it for about 19 years, and I only occasionally get it. There was one time that a couple of times, and I thought I might have to go back on tablets, but then I managed to get myself out of it. And funny enough, having cancer didn't make me get depressed. It didn't make me, which is ironic, isn't it? It actually didn't make me get depressed. But I think that is why I did get breast cancer, because you hold things within you, okay, and you keep it. Well, at least for me, I did. I would never ever. So in all my years that I did suffer from depression, I never got counselling, nothing at all. Just going to the doctor and getting medication. That was my crux of it. And how I actually ended up getting on medication was quite funny, because I was actually living in a small country town in South Australia, and I went and saw a doctor, and he was an older doctor, and he recognised the symptoms without me actually saying anything, and put me on some medication, and I had to take, I think it was 3 tablets daily. I think I was on it for about 6-7 years or something like that. But, the damage has been done, because they do say that with breast cancer, it can sometimes take 8 to 10 years before it kicks in, before you can physically see any symptoms or feel them. As you all know, I did not feel a lump in my breast. It felt a little bit different from my other one, but I basically just woke up with a sore boob, and I went to the doctor and got a scan, and then went from there. But it's interesting that I believe, when you hold things in and you don't express what you're feeling, and you don't talk about it to anybody, and you just keep it bottled up within you, it's got to go somewhere, doesn't it? And I literally think that is why I got breast cancer. And of course it's on the left side, isn't it? It's where your where your heart is, and and I ended up having to get a mastectomy, the heart chakra in that area. And I truly feel this is why I got it, is because I just held too many things within me, and I never ever expressed how I felt. I always shut up. I really find it hard to deal with conflict. I really, really do. Now, there is occasions when my husband used to be a bouncer for many, many years, and I don't. Those of you who've seen him know he's quite a solidly built guy, and he's got quite big muscles and everything like that. And he was a bouncer for many, many years, and occasionally we're out and about, and I see his eyes zoom in onto someone, and if I have a look, and it might be a woman, a guy who might be picking on a woman or something like that, and he's really like a knight in shining armor, and he'll watch, and if he thinks anything's going to happen, he'll fly down there and he'll stop anything from happening. But I really hate conflict of any type whatsoever. And he gets really quite angry about it. He gets very, very angry about men who abuse women in any way. But I don't like conflict, and I always stop him. I say, look, just leave it, just wait, see how it plays out. This actually only happened a couple of days ago in the pub. There was a guy, he wasn't too happy the way he was talking to his young daughter, but in the end it was just because he couldn't quite see it, because she didn't want to eat her salad. So it was something quite mundane or whatever. And he said, oh, that's all right. He said, but I still don't like the way he's talking to her. So he's very, very protective, like super protective. But I really, really, but he's always very conscious of me, that I don't like conflict. I just can't stand it. I really, if I hear arguing or yelling, I have to go. I just can't stay there. That's just how I am. I really hate it. I'm a lot better now at speaking up for myself, and he's actually said that. He said, years ago you wouldn't have said boo, and now look at you. Which is true. I do say what I feel now a lot more, but I still hate conflict, and I do anything. I'll avoid it like the plague. I absolutely, truly hate it. But what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way, for those of you women who are experiencing abuse in any way, and mine was a very, very, was verbal, a lot of verbal. There was physical as well, but it was more of the verbal, and that can really belittle you and make you feel like a speck of dirt. You've got no confidence in yourself. You just feel like shit, and it takes a long time for you to find out who you are, actually, that's the best way for me to say it, is just finding out who you are. It's a long process, it took me many years to find out who Tracy was, who I really truly am deep down. But what I wanted to share is that don't keep things bottled in, okay? And I'm not saying everyone who keeps bottled in is going to get cancer, no way known, but it's quite interesting that there is a lot. I've read a lot about it, and there's a lot of people who have kept things in and not expressed things, and they actually, they can die from cancer, or they get cancer, or they get other terminal illness. Not terminal. They get other debilitating illnesses. So maybe, I don't know, well, there's so many illnesses around anyway, but, it literally, domestic violence and abuse can make you physically ill. So it's not only just mentally ill, it can make you physically ill because you bottle it all up inside you. And where does that angst go? Well, it's got to go somewhere, doesn't it? And where did mine go? Right, my tumour, I'm going to just stand up because I'm not too sure. So where my tumour was right here. That's where it was. Right above my heart, okay? Right above my heart. That's where it was. And it was about 4 centimetres long, I think, from what I can remember now. That's where mine was. And that's where all the pain was. It was in my heart. And that was eating me alive, literally. It was actually literally eating me alive. And so I had to... But I do truly believe that is why I got it, because I just kept everything within. So I just want people who are suffering not to suffer in silence. Even if you just ring a helpline, there's a lot of 1-800 numbers here in Australia. I'm not too sure where they are if you are living in another country, but there's a lot of places where you can just ring up and speak to somebody, and talk to them about, like, Lifeline and things like, that. Well, we have here, we've got, and I think it might be worldwide, I'm not too sure, like, Are You Okay Day. And if you had to ask me, are you okay, well, I said, yeah, I'm fine. You don't, there's a lot of us who won't say what we're going through, and they won't, because they can't talk about it. That's why I never had any counselling, because I just can't talk about it. Even with all the cancer that I went through, you've got no idea how many doctors and oncologists, the radiotherapists, the nurses, do you need counselling? No. And I still don't want to talk about it, because Aaron's my rock. Of course, I spoke to him about it. I've spoken, of course, to Natalie, Evie, and Nina, but not in any really great detail type of thing, if you know what I'm saying. It was mainly with Aaron, and even with him, I haven't sort of shared things. I've kept things up, because now, sometimes I get emails and they say, you can come to a workshop, because once you finish your treatment, you're a little bit over the loose ends, because you're so focused on getting well, and then once it's over with, you're supposed to just pick up the pieces of your life and go on. Now I have to have yearly tests for the next 5 years to make sure it doesn't come back, and and I've got to take tablets for 10 years to stop the production of my hormones. So, and then after 5 years, my radiotherapist, this is what his exact words, we kiss you goodbye now, you're usually okay. But there's never really a guarantee, with cancer. You don't really know if it ever will come back. Now, I'm really damn determined that it's not going to come back, and but I'm not going to lie. Of course, I think about it every now and again, but what you put out there comes back to you. So I always try and think really positive thoughts that it's not going to come back. I mean, I did everything early. I did everything bang, 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 super, super quick when I found out I had it. I didn't muck around. I got straight onto the chemo, the week before Christmas. No, the week actually of Christmas, because I found out I had it in November. So when it was Christmas time on that week, because I slept all day at Christmas, while my daughter and stepdaughter done all the cooking, and my husband had my chemo, had my mastectomy in March, then had my final 4 chemo. So I really only finished in August. It's quite a long, arduous journey when you go through this. But I truly believe the reason I got cancer was because I just held everything in and I didn't speak up about it. And you're probably thinking that I probably should talk more, maybe get counselling about the cancer, but the reason why I haven't, because it's not terminal, okay? It was grade 2. So, it's not grade 3, it's not grade 4, it was grade 2. And so it was early breast cancer. Because, they said, my doctor said, not my doctor, but the nurse at the clinic said, you got it early. But my surgeon wasn't going to say, he didn't say it was early or anything like that. Even when I asked him, he said, if you want me to say it's early, I'll tell you got it early. So what's that saying? But then when I had I had to have a bone scan to see how my bones were going after I had all the chemo. And actually they were quite good, funny enough. And that's the first time my oncologist actually wrote on the note, early breast cancer. So, it could have been a lot worse, but because it wasn't terminal diagnosis, the first thing I just thought is, well, what do I got to do to get better? And that's what I've been doing. I've just been doing everything I can to get well again. So, and one of the things that the radiotherapist nurse, because before you have your radiotherapy, you see a nurse and everything like that. You actually get tattooed up so they know exactly where to put the radiotherapy and stuff like that. And she said to me, one thing that I've learned about since I've started working here is that cancer has no qualms about hitting anybody. She said, I've seen elite athletics get it, I've seen vegans, vegetarians, I've seen the healthiest people in the world get it. It's got no qualms about hitting you. It can hit anybody, all right? There's no, it's just there. It just happens. I never questioned why I got it, okay? I never had that why me or anything like that, but I know why I got it, okay? I know in my heart, I know in that gut feeling you get when you do a tarot reading and you read something and you went, I know that's why I got it, because I just kept things bottled up within inside me. So I've been, and that's something that I still work on. I still need to express myself, I still do, because even my husband said, he said to me, you won't, when we used to go and see my parents, he said, you won't actually stick up for yourself in front of your parents, or anything like that. And it's true, I still can't do that, for God's sake. I'm 55. It's hard. It's really, really hard when something's been ingrained in you, but I'm learning still. And I've come a long way. It's one thing that cancer teaches you is it really pretty much shows you who you are, hey, and what I've learned about myself is that I'm a lot stronger than I thought, a lot more stronger than I thought. But I just wanted to put it out there that those of you who are experiencing, man, woman, any of you who are experiencing abuse of any kind, is that can make you physically ill. And of course I'm not saying that everyone's gets an abusive marriage or whatever is going to get cancer, but it can make you physically ill. And I know that's why I got it. And and look where I got it, right above my heart, right, just exactly where the heart is. I mean, come on, what's that saying? So I knew that's why I got it. So if someone's unkind to you, it was quite good actually, because there's quite a few of us that rallied around Candy and gave her, I actually messaged her on Messenger to say, look, what what a twat that woman was. Don't let her get to you and everything like that. And she said she felt very supported by everybody and she appreciated it, which was really good. We all rallied around her. But, you know, a lot of women, a lot of men, even children, they haven't got anyone to rally around them. And what you have to do in that situation is you've got to rally around yourself. You've got to find it within yourself to fight any injustice that's been done against you. And it's very, very hard. It really, really is hard. I mean, like I said, I can't stand conflict. I can't stand arguments. If there is something going on in a pub, if I'm out somewhere and there is an argument, I get up and I walk out. I can't handle it, okay? I just cannot stand it. And that's just probably something that's going to live with me for the rest of my life. But, you know, and like I said, I've had a most wonderful life since I've been. It's been absolutely beautiful and peaceful. So good since I've been with Aaron. But, you know, there are things that, you know, I read and I find out and it just brings it all back in such like a tidal wave over you. It just you feel straight away, you know, and then you think to yourself, oh, thank God I don't have to go through that anymore, you know. It's hard because I was with my first husband. I met him when I was 18. So, you know, and left him when I was 37. So that's a long time. A long time. Very young years, you know. A lot of your youth is spent there. And, yeah, so that's what I believe why I got the cancer. And I just want everyone to be aware of that you can get, you know, quite ill if you keep things bottled up within inside you. So try and find an outlet for it, okay? If you find like that you can't talk to people like me, because, you know, I can't really express deeply what I'm feeling, then find an outlet for it. I know with my youngest, she's quite happy for me saying she's got bipolar, but when she lived with us, Aaron set up a, what do they call it, a punching bag for her. And she could take her frustrations out on the punching bag out in the backyard. So, you know, there's things you can do. You know, maybe you might like to get a punching bag and have that out there. You might like something more gentle like colouring in or, I don't know, knitting or whatever it is that you find relaxes you. Make time for it, okay, so you don't get physically ill. You've really, you know, they all say about, you know, healing your mental well, your mind, you know, your mental mind. I mean, because we spend a lot of time in our mind, in our own mind. And so you need to be kind to yourself, you know, you do. You need to be kind to yourself. And you need to find an outlet to get any angst out of you. So if you really cannot connect and talk to someone, because half the time I didn't even know what was wrong, because, you know, depression wasn't talked about when I was a kid. There was nothing. It was just, pull up your socks or you're weird or, you know what I mean? There was absolutely nothing at all about depression. I was about 30, I think, when I got put on antidepressants. That's a hell of a long time to be depressed, you know, and wondering what's wrong with you. So, you know, it can make you physically ill. It really, really can. So not only do you have to take care of your mental health, but you've got to make sure that you take care of your physical health. And you've got to find an outlet to get rid of all that mental angst, you know. And I'm always here. If anybody wants to talk about something, my email is in the description box. On Instagram, I've got that down in my description box. If anybody wants to talk to me about something, I'm here for you. I truly, truly am. But I just want to put it out there that I know that's why I got breast cancer. And you just have to be careful, okay? You just have to not let things build up that it makes you physically ill, and it'll be one of the toughest battles that you'll ever have to do with yourself. I mean, sure, cancer was a tough battle for me to win. For now, I've won it, you know, I'm clear. But, you know, it's all the years before, you know. I should have spent time on healing myself, you know. I should have followed my heart, okay, and I didn't. I closed it off. I didn't listen to it. So, you know, just take care of yourself. For those of you who are going through anything like that, take care, because, you know, it can make you ill, really seriously ill. And, yeah, I suppose that's all I've got to say, really. I just really wanted people to be aware of that. So take care, and like I've said, if anybody needs to talk, you can shoot me an email. Even if you want to make it anonymous, which is pretty going to be hard, isn't it, with an email? But you know what I'm saying. Just, oh yeah, I'm there, okay? So take care, everyone. Stay strong. You can do it.